Strategic implications. New report reveals China's Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Station could ignite conflict in South Asia. Date: January 27, 2025. Introduction. The approval of the Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project by China has emerged as a pivotal geopolitical issue with the potential to ignite conflict in South Asia. The project, which entails the construction of the world's largest hydropower facility at a staggering cost of $137 billion, is expected to generate around 300 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity annually. However, its implications extend far beyond energy production, threatening to alter water flow dynamics in the Brahmaputra River, which is crucial for downstream nations, particularly India and Bangladesh. Geopolitical landscape. The Yarlung Zangbo River, known as the Brahmaputra in India and the Jamuna in Bangladesh, traverses four countries: China 50.5%, India 33.6%, Bangladesh 8.1%, and Bhutan 7.8%. The river basin is vital for the livelihoods and ecosystems of millions residing in these regions. The absence of a comprehensive multilateral treaty governing water usage in this basin has exacerbated fears of unilateral control by China. Following the 2017 Doklam standoff, which heightened tensions between India and China, Beijing ceased sharing crucial hydrological data with India, undermining previous agreements aimed at cooperation. China's failure to engage in meaningful data sharing and its unilateral project development raised significant concerns regarding compliance with international water law, specifically the 1997 Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses. This framework emphasizes equitable resource use and the necessity of prior notification and consultation for projects affecting shared watercourses. China's actions appear to contravene these principles, further straining relations with downstream nations. Environmental and seismic risks. The location of the proposed dam in a seismically active region presents additional challenges. The area has a history of significant seismic activity, including the devastating 1950 Assam Tibet earthquake. Concerns regarding the structural integrity of the dam are paramount, particularly in light of potential seismic-induced failures that could have catastrophic consequences for downstream populations. Moreover, as climate change accelerates glacier melting in the Himalayas, the risk of glacial lake outburst floods increases. Such events could disrupt the water flow in the Brahmaputra, adversely affecting agriculture and livelihoods in India and Bangladesh. Historical precedents such as the environmental impacts of the Three Gorges Dam and the Banqiao Dam in China raise alarms about the ecological consequences of large-scale dam projects. Regional response and calls for multilateral cooperation. In response to these developments, there is a growing consensus among analysts and policymakers that a multilateral framework is crucial for addressing the concerns of lower riparian nations. Calls for comprehensive environmental impact assessments and increased transparency in China's dam operations have intensified. India, Bangladesh, and Bhutan are encouraged to advocate for collaborative efforts to mitigate potential conflicts over water resources. The timeline of events leading to the current situation is indicative of escalating tensions. 1. December 25, 2024. China officially approves the construction of the Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project. 2. 2017. The Doklam standoff leads to China halting its sharing of hydrological data with India. 3. Ongoing. Experts and policymakers continue to express concerns regarding the environmental and geopolitical implications of China's dam ambitions. Conclusion. While China's ambitions for hydropower align with its renewable energy goals, the strategic implications of the Yarlung Zangbo project could destabilize an already fragile geopolitical landscape in South Asia. The potential for conflict over water resources necessitates urgent dialogue and cooperation among affected nations. Fostering. The construction of China's Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project has sparked intense debates around its strategic implications for South Asia, particularly in terms of water management and potential geopolitical conflicts. Although the project aligns with China's renewable energy goals, it raises several counterintuitive concerns that challenge conventional understandings of international relations and environmental governance. Counterintuitive information. 1. Benevolent energy production versus hostile water control. While the Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project is framed as a step towards sustainable energy production, it also serves as a strategic tool for China to exert control over water resources in South Asia. This duality complicates the narrative. A project intended to promote renewable energy could simultaneously be viewed as a weapon in geopolitical conflicts. This contradiction illustrates how developments meant for environmental benefit can lead to heightened tensions among nations. 2. Data sharing as a political weapon. The withholding of hydrological data by China, particularly following the Doklam standoff, flips the expectation that countries engaged in cooperative agreements would share crucial information. Instead, this selective sharing highlights how data can become a strategic asset used to manipulate or coerce neighboring countries. This counterintuitive use of transparency as a form of control disrupts typical assumptions about international cooperation and trust, especially in transboundary water management. 3. Environmental risks versus economic benefits. The anticipated economic benefits of the dam, including substantial electricity generation, are overshadowed by significant environmental risks such as potential seismic activity and catastrophic flooding. This dynamic challenges the belief that large infrastructure projects are inherently beneficial. Instead, the potential for ecological disaster raises questions about the true cost of such developments, suggesting that the pursuit of economic growth could lead to devastating long-term consequences for both the environment and regional stability. 4. International law versus unilateral action. The situation embodies a paradox where international laws designed to govern shared water resources, such as the 1997 Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses, are systematically ignored by China. Despite clear legal frameworks advocating for equitable resource use and prior notification, China's actions demonstrate that powerful nations may disregard these norms, challenging the effectiveness of international law in regulating state behavior. This raises critical questions about the enforcement of international agreements and the ability of smaller nations to protect their interests. 5. Seismic concerns and developmental ambitions. The dam's location in a seismically active region presents a counterintuitive risk. Rather than facilitating stability and growth, it introduces significant geological hazards that could undermine both the dam's integrity and regional safety. This juxtaposition highlights the irony that development projects, often viewed as symbols of progress, can actually increase vulnerability to natural disasters, thereby threatening the very populations they are meant to benefit. 6. Collective action versus individual sovereignty. The call for multilateral cooperation among India, Bangladesh, and Bhutan contrasts with China's unilateral approach to dam construction and water management. This situation reveals a counterintuitive truth: countries often prioritize national sovereignty and individual interests over collective well-being, even when collaborative efforts could yield more sustainable outcomes. The reluctance to engage in binding agreements to share resources reflects a broader tendency in international relations where short-term national priorities can overshadow long-term regional stability. 7. Historical precedents ignored. Despite historical precedents that demonstrate the potential for catastrophic failures in large dam projects, e.g. the Banqiao Dam disaster, the pursuit of ambitious infrastructure projects continues unabated. This tendency to overlook past mistakes in favor of ambitious development plans reveals a counterintuitive human inclination to prioritize projected benefits over learned caution, risking similar or worse outcomes in the future. In summary, the strategic implications of the Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project present a complex landscape where renewable energy ambitions intersect with geopolitical tensions and environmental risks. Understanding these counterintuitive dynamics is crucial for policymakers and analysts seeking to navigate the intricate relationships between China and its South Asian neighbors in an increasingly interconnected and precarious world. The report on China's Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Station highlights several critical aspects that are often underestimated or overlooked, which could have profound implications for South Asia's geopolitical landscape and environmental sustainability. 1. Geopolitical ramifications of water control. One of the most significant yet frequently overlooked elements is the strategic control of water resources. The Yarlung Zangbo River flowing into India as the Brahmaputra is a lifeline for millions in downstream countries. China's unilateral decision to develop this mega dam raises alarms about potential water manipulation during geopolitical tensions. The historical context, such as the Doklam standoff in 2017, illustrates China's willingness to leverage water data as a political tool. This degree of control could lead to conflicts, especially if China restricts water flow during droughts or other crises. Significance: the control of water resources is not merely an environmental issue but a matter of national security for countries like India and Bangladesh. Overlooking this aspect neglects the potential for serious geopolitical conflicts arising from water scarcity, which can escalate tensions into broader confrontations. 2. Environmental and seismic risks. The proposed dam site is located in one of the most seismically active regions globally. The potential for catastrophic failures due to earthquakes or glacial lake outburst floods is a critical concern that is often minimized. Historical events such as the 1975 Banqiao Dam failure exemplify the dire consequences of neglecting structural integrity and environmental assessments. Significance: the potential environmental devastation and risks to human life from seismic activity are profound. Ignoring these risks can lead to catastrophic outcomes not just for China but for the entire region, particularly for vulnerable communities that rely on the river for their livelihoods. 3. International legal frameworks and compliance. The report touches on international water law, particularly the 1997 Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses. China's actions, including the lack of transparency and prior notification to downstream countries, raise significant legal and ethical questions. The absence of a binding multilateral treaty governing the Brahmaputra River exacerbates this situation, enabling unilateral actions that contravene established international norms. Significance: the legal framework surrounding transboundary watercourses is critical for ensuring fair and equitable use of shared resources. Underestimating the importance of adhering to international laws and norms can undermine regional stability and foster an environment of mistrust among neighboring countries. 4. The impact on local communities. While the report discusses the macro-level geopolitical and environmental implications, it may overlook the micro-level impacts on local communities. The livelihoods of millions depend on the Brahmaputra River for agriculture, fishing, and daily water needs. Changes in sediment flow, water availability, and ecological balance due to the dam could irreparably harm these communities. Significance: understanding and addressing the potential socioeconomic impacts on local populations is crucial for any sustainable development project. Failing to consider these aspects can lead to social unrest and exacerbate poverty in already vulnerable regions. 5. Need for multilateral cooperation. The report emphasizes the necessity for multilateral frameworks among India, Bangladesh, and Bhutan to address the challenges posed by China's dam project. However, the urgency of this cooperation and the mechanisms for achieving it are often understated. Effective dialogue and collective action are essential to mitigate the risks of conflict and environmental degradation. Significance: the call for cooperation is not just a diplomatic nicety, it is an essential step towards sustainable management of shared resources in an era of climate change. Underestimating the importance of collaborative approaches can lead to missed opportunities for conflict resolution and regional stability. Conclusion: In summary, the critical aspects of geopolitical control over water resources, environmental and seismic risks, adherence to international legal frameworks, impacts on local communities, and the urgent need for multilateral cooperation are often overlooked in discussions about the Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Station. Each of these elements has profound implications for South Asia's future stability and sustainability. Addressing these issues proactively is vital for preventing potential conflicts and ensuring equitable resource management in the region. 1. Geopolitical implications in water management. The construction of the Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Station is poised to escalate geopolitical tensions in South Asia, primarily affecting lower riparian countries like India and Bangladesh. The project's approval highlights China's unilateral approach to water resource management in a shared basin where it controls approximately 50.5% of the water flow. The absence of a multilateral treaty governing the Brahmaputra River basin exacerbates fears of unilateral actions by China, especially in light of its past behaviors such as withholding hydrological data during the Doklam standoff in 2017. This situation raises concerns about equitable resource sharing, adherence to international water law, and potential conflict over water access, underscoring the need for a collaborative framework among the riparian states to mitigate tensions and ensure sustainable management of shared water resources. 2. Environmental risks and seismic concerns. The site selected for the Yarlung Zangbo Dam is in a seismically active region, raising significant concerns regarding the potential for catastrophic failures and environmental degradation. The risks include glacial lake outburst floods and the long-term impacts of climate change on glacier melting, which could destabilize the river's flow and sediment dynamics, adversely affecting agriculture and livelihoods in downstream countries. The historical precedent of China's previous dam projects like the Three Gorges Dam, which have led to ecological disruptions and severe flooding, further emphasizes the environmental risks associated with the Yarlung Zangbo project. An in-depth analysis of these risks is crucial to understanding the broader implications for regional ecology and the sustainability of water resources. 3. Legal and regulatory frameworks. The project raises critical questions regarding compliance with international water laws, particularly the 1997 Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses. China's approach, characterized by limited data sharing and a lack of prior consultation, contradicts the principles of equitable use and prior notification mandated by international regulations. This situation highlights the necessity for stronger legal frameworks and enforcement mechanisms to ensure that projects affecting shared watercourses consider the rights and needs of all riparian states. The call for comprehensive environmental impact assessments and adherence to international obligations reflects the urgent need for a cooperative approach to transboundary water management. 4. Multilateral cooperation and regional stability. The potential for conflict arising from China's hydropower ambitions necessitates a concerted effort for multilateral cooperation among India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and China. There is a growing recognition that addressing the concerns of lower riparian nations requires comprehensive dialogue and collaboration, not just on data sharing but also on environmental assessments and sustainable development practices. The historical context of China's dam projects in the Mekong River basin serves as a cautionary tale illustrating the downstream impacts of unilateral water management. The urgency for collective action is paramount to prevent conflicts over water resources, ensure ecological balance, and foster regional stability through shared governance of transboundary water systems. 1. The Indus Waters Treaty 1960. This treaty, brokered by the World Bank, divided the waters of the Indus River system between India and Pakistan. While it has been largely successful in managing water resources, tensions have arisen, particularly with India's construction of dams and projects that could affect the flow of rivers entering Pakistan. Similar to the situation with the Yarlung Zangbo, unilateral actions by one country can lead to significant geopolitical strife. 2. The Nile Basin dispute. The construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam girded by Ethiopia has sparked tensions with downstream countries, particularly Egypt and Sudan. Egypt fears that the dam will significantly reduce its access to the Nile waters, which are vital for its survival. This scenario mirrors concerns regarding China's unilateral control over the Yarlung Zangbo and its implications for India and Bangladesh, emphasizing the potential for conflict over shared water resources. 3. The Mekong River dams. China's development of multiple dams on the Mekong River has dramatically altered water flow and sediment dynamics, affecting the livelihoods of millions in downstream countries such as Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. This situation reflects similar anxieties regarding China's Yarlung Zangbo project, as upstream developments can have severe downstream repercussions, highlighting the need for cooperative management of transboundary water resources to prevent conflicts. The strategic implications of China's Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project are profound and far-reaching, potentially igniting conflict in South Asia due to its impact on water resources, environmental risks, and regional geopolitics. Future predictions. 1. Increased geopolitical tensions. As China moves forward with the Yarlung Zangbo project, tensions with downstream nations like India and Bangladesh are expected to escalate. India in particular may strengthen its military presence in border areas and enhance its intelligence capabilities to monitor China's actions. This could lead to an arms race and increased military posturing, further straining Sino-Indian relations. 2. Water resource conflicts. The unilateral control of the Yarlung Zangbo River by China could exacerbate water scarcity issues in India and Bangladesh. With diminishing water resources, conflicts over access to water could arise, potentially leading to diplomatic standoffs or even military confrontations, especially during critical agricultural periods when water is most needed. 3. Environmental catastrophes. The dam's construction in a seismically active region poses significant risks. Future seismic events could lead to catastrophic failures, resulting in massive flooding in downstream regions. Such disasters could destabilize the economies of affected countries, prompting humanitarian crises and international calls for accountability from China. 4. Regional cooperation versus rivalry. The potential for conflict may push India, Bangladesh, and Bhutan to seek closer cooperation, potentially forming a multilateral framework to address shared water management concerns. This might include joint hydrological studies, shared disaster response initiatives, and collaborative environmental impact assessments. However, establishing such frameworks will require overcoming historical distrust and geopolitical rivalries. 5. International legal challenges. India and Bangladesh may pursue legal avenues through international courts or organizations, citing violations of international water laws by China. This could lead to increased scrutiny of China's water management practices on a global scale, potentially isolating it diplomatically. The outcomes of such legal battles could set precedents for future transboundary water disputes. 6. Impact on global climate action. The environmental repercussions of the Yarlung Zangbo project could hinder regional and global climate action efforts. If the dam leads to significant ecological degradation, it may draw criticism from the international community, prompting calls for stronger regulations on dam construction worldwide. This could catalyze a broader discourse on sustainable development and the need for responsible water resource management. 7. Shift in energy dynamics. While China aims to generate substantial renewable energy from the Yarlung Zangbo project, the geopolitical tensions it generates may lead India to accelerate its own renewable energy initiatives. This could result in a competitive energy landscape in South Asia. With increased investments in solar, wind, and hydropower projects by India and its neighbors as they seek to reduce dependency on Chinese energy infrastructure. 8. Human rights and community displacement. The construction of the megadam may lead to the displacement of local communities, particularly in Tibet and downstream regions. This could spark social unrest and human rights movements within China and neighboring countries as affected populations demand compensation and rehabilitation efforts. The international community may also pressure China to uphold human rights standards in its development projects. 9. Technological interventions. Anticipating the potential for conflict. Affected countries may invest in technology to monitor water flow and environmental changes more effectively. Innovations in satellite imaging and water management systems could enhance transparency and foster more informed discussions on shared water resources. 10. Long-term environmental monitoring. The ecological implications of the Yarlung Zangbo project will necessitate ongoing environmental monitoring. Regional cooperation in environmental science and data sharing agreements may emerge as a necessity to mitigate potential disasters, paving the way for collaborative projects that prioritize sustainable practices. In conclusion, while China's Yarlung Zangbo Hydropower Project represents a significant advancement in renewable energy, its strategic implications pose substantial risks for regional stability in South Asia. The future will likely see a complex interplay of conflict cooperation and environmental challenges, necessitating urgent dialogue and collaborative frameworks among affected nations to navigate these turbulent waters.